Maria stared out at the ocean, reflecting on the mysteries of life as the waves gently rolled in and out. At 52, unemployed for the first time, her own future was feeling quite uncertain. But she tried to focus on the positive, remembering John Lennon's quote that, "There are no problems, only solutions." Maria's greatest passion had always been books and the written word. Ever since she was a little girl first learning to read, she had been enchanted by how letters formed words, words became sentences, and sentences blossomed into entire imaginary worlds. Books were magical to Maria. Each one seemed to call out to her with the promise of adventure, knowledge, and new perspectives. She could never resist their siren song for long. As a child, the idea of being a writer had seemed an unattainable dream, as fanciful as aspiring to be an astronaut or a movie star. In Maria's world, people worked sensible jobs in shops, factories, and offices. Creative pursuits like writing were hardly even presented as an option. Besides, who were these mythical authors anyway? Maria had never met one in real life. In her young mind, writers existed only as mysterious names printed on book covers and spines. But the urge to write had never left her, even as she grew up and built a stable career in shipping logistics. For over 30 years, Maria had applied her love of words and language to business emails, technical documents, and the occasional witty office memo. But there was always a part of her that yearned for more. Now, with her 5 decades of life experience behind her and an uncertain path ahead, Maria wondered if perhaps this was her moment. Could she pivot her life in a new direction? Could she honor her lifelong passion and actually become a writer herself? The idea both terrified and thrilled her. Objectively, Maria knew she had all the raw ingredients: a vivid imagination, a way with words, and an endless curiosity about the human experience. She had practically inhaled books her entire life, so she had absorbed storytelling structure through osmosis. Most importantly, she had an unwavering belief in the power of language to enlighten, move, and transform. Maria glanced down at her phone and pulled up the Readsy website again. This online writing community had intrigued her with its weekly short story contests. The latest prompt asked writers to explore the theme of mystery, and what could be more mysterious than the unwritten chapters of one's own life? An idea began to take shape in Maria's mind. She imagined a protagonist not unlike herself, a woman at a crossroads, grappling with the mysteries of change and reinvention. But in the story, this woman would find the courage to embrace uncertainty and take a leap of faith to pursue her dreams before it was too late. Through fiction, perhaps Maria could write her own way forward. The main character's name would be Sylvia, Maria decided, and the inciting incident that would disrupt Sylvia's comfortable existence was a book, of course. A very peculiar, very persuasive book that seemed to have an uncanny insight into Sylvia's life and an almost magical ability to reveal truths and inspire action. Sylvia would find the book in a quirky secondhand bookshop that she ducked into on a whim one rainy afternoon. As she absent-mindedly browsed the packed shelves, her gaze would land on a slim volume with an intriguing title, The Mystery of You. Sylvia would pick up the book, admiring its worn blue cover and the curious symbols embossed in faded gold leaf. When she cracked it open, she would be startled to see what appeared to be her own name inscribed on the inside front cover. This book belongs to Sylvia Nowak. With mounting curiosity, Sylvia would start to read, instantly enthralled by the book's uncanny insights. Each chapter seemed to hold up a mirror to a different facet of Sylvia's life: her hopes and fears, her secret dreams, even events from her past that she had never shared with anyone. It was as if the book had been written solely for her. As Sylvia turned the pages, the book's mysterious author seemed to challenge her to question her choices and imagine a different kind of future for herself. One where she was defined by passion and purpose rather than duty and routine. One chapter was entitled What We Settle For, and it perfectly articulated Sylvia's growing discontentment with her sensible but stifling life. Another, called Doors Unopened, encouraged her to contemplate all the roads not taken and dare to consider that it might not be too late. But the final chapter was the most unnerving and exhilarating of all. Entitled Breathing Ink, it spoke directly to Sylvia's lifelong, secret desire to write. "Sylvia, words are your power." The book seemed to whisper to her. "So what are you waiting for? The blank page is an open door, and the only permission you need to walk through it is your own. Breathe your truth in ink and let the story of your authentic self unfold." With shaking hands, Sylvia would close the book, feeling its message reverberate in every cell of her being. In that moment, she knew she had to honor the call. Buying the book without hesitation, she would race home and pull out a fresh notebook, marveling at the inviting expanse of the blank first page. Then, with a deep breath, Sylvia would put pen to paper and begin to write her way into a mysterious new chapter. From her perch on the beach, Maria smiled to herself as the story crystallized in her mind. This was the power of words, to illuminate, to motivate, to transform. She could feel the electric tingle of inspiration scrolling up her spine and through her fingertips, itching to spill out onto a page. Rising from the sand, Maria took one last cleansing breath of salty sea air. Then she strode purposefully back to her car, mentally composing Sylvia's first lines as she walked. When one has spent a lifetime immersed in the words of others, there comes a soul-deep yearning to speak one's own truth. By the time she arrived home, Maria's notebook and favorite pen were ready and waiting. She poured herself a mug of steaming coffee, opened to a fresh page, and began to write. As her pen flowed across the paper, breathing Sylvia to life, Maria felt herself expanding too, daring to imagine a future where writer was not just a mysterious, distant calling, but her own true identity. There would undoubtedly be doubts and obstacles ahead. Reinvention was always an uncertain endeavor, but something had fundamentally shifted inside Maria. She had tasted creative freedom, and there was no going back. The blank page had become an open door into a brand new mystery, the mystery of who Maria might become and what stories she had yet to tell. And Maria knew now that she was ready to walk through that door with her whole heart and discover what revelations and wonders awaited her on the other side. Because embracing mystery was an inherent part of the writing life. The only way to dispel the mystery was to live the questions and let the unfolding answers become stories on the page. In time, perhaps Maria would see her name on the cover of a real book, no longer just a mysterious, elusive dream. But even if she never published a word, she had finally surrendered to her soul's deepest purpose. She had become the author of her own story, and that was perhaps the greatest mystery and the greatest magic of all.